thing.
Yeah.
Hi, we're doing the thing.
Hey.
Whoa. Hey, there's a wall. I just wanted to lean on this wall a little bit. Hi. We're here talking about the comics that are coming out tomorrow.
That's right.
It's the new comic preview.
So, I don't know if you're aware, Dan, but today is July 4th, as it is every year around this time. That's why we're closing early. The store's closing early, which is why we're doing the stream early.
We're doing an early stream.
Because there's a little national holiday today about the independence of America.
Independence.
So, I was a little disappointed there's not a lot of patriotic-themed comics coming out this week, but there is one. And thankfully, it is the most patriotic comic.
The most patriotic comic you can get. All right, let's check it out. Hold on. Clicky.
I mean, it's Captain America.
Captain America.
Issue number...
All the Captain Americas.
Yes. So this is issue number 750.
Wow.
That's sort of like... that they got that number by using their Marvel math. By just like adding up all the various Captain America books that they've published.
Wow. Since when?
Because... Well, see, I don't think it counts. I don't know if they're counting the original Golden Age run of Captain America in the 40s. So it's probably just counting since it restarted in the 60s. Because otherwise it'd have to be, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea.
It'd be in the thousands.
Well, there was a period where it wasn't published. It's such a long, boring history discussion. Even you won't care about it, Dan.
I mean...
But anyway...
we have time.
Yeah, right. So, I haven't read this book yet, though, but it's a landmark issue. I mean, 750 issues, roughly. There's a bunch of different creators in it. Mostly just short stories celebrating Captain America and his history and his legacy. And both Captain Americas, I should say. So, Sam Wilson as the current Cap, and then also... Well, actually, Steve Rogers is also currently Captain America.
They're all captains.
So there's just everybody's captains everywhere. But, just a lot of different short stories, a lot of different creators, some good art. If you're a Captain America fan, you're going to want to check this out.
Check it out.
So, I'll tell you now, the things that I'm super excited about is basically the thing I talk about every time these come out, which is these facsimile editions. Bam! This is the Incredible Hulk number 180 facsimile edition. Now you might be, Dan, as somebody who knows nothing about comics, you might be saying, why are they doing a facsimile reprint of Hulk 180? It's just like some random issue of the Hulk. Well, you are mostly correct, but you're also completely wrong.
Right, mostly wrong.
So this is just a random story, but then in the final page, after Hulk is fighting Wendigo here, the very final panel, boom, Wolverine.
What?
This is technically the first appearance of Wolverine on Hulk number 180. Hulk number 181 is the issue that everybody collects for being the first issue with Wolverine because it's the first story.
But this is the first.
This is the actual first picture of him appearing in comics.
Look at that.
Beautiful. Wolverine. So they're also doing a facsimile reprint of Hulk number 181, so you can get both. You get Hulk 180 that leads into 181, and I love these. These are called Bronze Age comics from the 70s, and pretty much any old comic I love. You know that.
I've seen it.
Yeah, you can attest to it. This is a really good comic. I love the classic Hulk, written by Len Wein, who Len Wein would go on to write Giant Size X-Men #1, and he's the one that introduced Wolverine into the X-Men. Classic art by Herb Trimp, one of the longtime Hulk artists. Yeah, really good book. Highly recommend it.
When Wolverine shows up.
Yeah.
Before there was no Wolverine.
It's almost, that's actually a thing. As a kid in the 90s, it's hard to think about a time in Marvel Comics when there wasn't a Wolverine, because he was so popular and omnipresent, and he has been for the longest time.
Hi, Keystone.
Hello.
Happy 4th to my favorite comic book guys.
Hey, that's us.
There you go.
Yeah.
We did it.
All right.
We're somebody's favorite. Nice. Thank you for being here. What else you got?
So I got...
The Doom Patrol.
I got another facsimile. DC is not going to be outdone by Marvel.
Nope.
So this is a facsimile reprint of My Greatest Adventure number 80, which is the first appearance of the Doom Patrol.
Oh.
After it might be about a year, this book just got renamed Doom Patrol, and it just became a Doom Patrol book. But this is their actual first appearance. This is from 1963. It's a reprint, which was about 1 year after the first appearance of the X-Men. And I've always kind of maintained, perhaps incorrectly, I don't know, more astute readers could tell me, I've always kind of thought that the Doom Patrol was DC's attempt to do X-Men. I don't know if there's anything concrete proof about that, but the Doom Patrol is a weird super team. They have weird powers.
Yeah.
They're freaks, and also their leader is a guy in a wheelchair.
Okay.
Not unlike Professor Xavier.
Right.
So, and he's also a professor. So, but it's actually a really good comic. These are Doom Patrol's classic stuff. There's also, since it's a facsimile, there's just like reprints.
Actual sort of like pulpy kind of old school papers.
So this is another thing that I've talked about before, comparing Marvel's facsimiles with DC's facsimiles. Marvel does these reprints on this glossy. It is high quality paper.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff that's going to last longer than newsprint. But I really appreciate that DC's reprints are on something that's closer to newsprint, and you can see it in the colors. So like. These Marvel reprints, these colors are so garish.
Yeah.
And the red is so thick and
because
pops.
It's not brought down by this paper.
Correct. And so in the original printing, it would have looked more, even the Marvel book would have looked more like this, where the colors were a little bit more muted because of the paper.
Interesting.
So that is something that I care about a lot. I think some readers do too. Other people don't.
Andre says Andy has hair. He's totally better than that X guy.
You know what? That's true. I actually think that was one of the things that made Professor X look like a weirdo. I think that was their attempt to make him look like a mutant, was that he was bald.
Just he didn't have hair.
and he had like big pointy eyebrows.
Did he?
Yes, in the original, like the way Jack Kirby drew him. He had like these weird like hypnotist eyebrows because, he had mental powers. But he was also bald, so you can't trust bald people.
Yeah, no, you cannot.
They're hiding something. Here first. That's a hot take of the week. But anyway,
Write that down.
So two great facsimile books coming out this week. I'm excited.
Ooh.
This is something that I'm less excited about.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk about it because it's a big deal. This is DC's first. What month is it? July? We're talking about July.
It is July. It is the 4th of July.
So this is their summer crossover that they're doing this year. This is called Night Terrors. First Blood. So if you are collecting DC Comics, all of your books are going to get put on pause. Well, I shouldn't say all, but most of the DC books are put on pause so they can do this Night Terrors event. And if you weren't, if you're having trouble following it, like if you come into the comic book store this month and you're waiting to get, I think Superman 6 is the next one.
Okay.
I've been following Superman. You've heard me talking about it on the stream the last couple of months. I really like it. So I really can't wait for Superman issue 6 to come out. Well, it's going to be a few months before it comes out because DC is doing this Night Terrors crossover. And all of the books that ship for these next 2 months that are a part of the Night Terrors, they're not going to ship with the original numbering of the series. They're going to ship as Night Terrors number 1 or 2. So it'll be like Superman Night Terrors number 1. And that's supposed to take place in between Superman number 5 and 6.
Jeez.
Don't get me started on the problems that comic books have with the numbering.
I want to know about the numbering.
It's
what's the deal?
The deal is just to make it easier for casual readers to come in and pick it up. You see Night Terrors number 1, you think, it's a number 1, it's a first issue. I don't need to know anything about it.
I better collect it. It might be worth something.
Yes.
It's a number 1.
Or also more likely is you're not jumping in the middle of the story, you're jumping in at the beginning of a story. And so that's why all the books that month that are part of it are all just going to have a number 1 on it.
Gotcha.
But this is basically...
Hey, Serena. Yo.
Howdy, how do. So this, I will say, I was talking about Superman, and it's written by Joshua Williamson, as is this series, at least this issue is. I don't know about all of them. But this is written by Joshua Williamson, who's a writer that I like. I've been enjoying his Superman. The basic idea for this crossover is just Nightmare on Elm Street, but in the DC universe.
Okay.
So there's like a supervillain who has dream powers, and somebody comes and like takes his powers and then figures out a way to manifest dream stuff in reality, but also bring people into dreams. I gotta admit, I really don't care about DC crossovers. I really don't, especially because like it's such a weird contrast.
Right.
Because the line-wide relaunch that DC just did several months ago was Dawn of DC, and the whole idea was like bright and sunny. You know, they got a new Shazam book that's like back to silly cartoon kid friendly basics. Superman has been really good. And the Dawn of DC came after their previous event, which was Dark Crisis, because DC has a long-standing history of just doing events that are crises.
Okay.
Just the first one, Crisis on Infinite Earths, back
crisis.
in '85. Oh yeah, you would think that when Grant Morrison did Final Crisis, that would have been the last one, but you are wrong. They've done several more since then. So I'm a little bummed that they're going back to their like dark and gritty story stuff right after 4 months after launching their Dawn of DC stuff. So I guess they'll get back to it after this. I thought this story was just fine. I'll tell you what, Deadman is in it, and I'm always happy to see Deadman. He's a cool character. Yeah, he's basically a ghost detective.
Sweet.
he's dead, and he can possess people.
Solid.
And then solve mysteries.
Nice. I mean,
yeah.
sold. Where do I sign up?
Right. Yeah, he's good. It's classic, but. If you're into the darker DC stuff, if you like following the DC crossovers, it's at least got a good writer behind it. It's drawn by Howard Porter, who is a solid artist, although this book feels like it's a little sketchier than his normal stuff, but maybe that's by design because it's supposed to be like a horror comic that's kind
gritty,
of
grimdark.
Yeah, grimdark, exactly. Yes, DC is constantly grasping for that grimdark attitude, and it
doesn't seem like a thing.
It is because they have to put themselves in contrast to Marvel, and so Marvel's kind of got a lockdown on bright and happy superheroes right now, which doesn't make sense to me because their superheroes are always depressed.
Yeah.
But it's just the direction they're going. I don't have much else to say about this. I thought it was just fine, but I kind of resent that it exists and is interrupting. And
it's fine, but I don't like that it exists.
It's fine, but if I had my way, I would delete it.
Octar says, Marvel closed the heroic age pretty quickly, too. I wish they had stayed there longer. Here's hoping DC doesn't move back to grim stuff immediately.
Agreed on all accounts, yes. Totally. That's my only hope. I don't know where this Night Terrors thing is going. I'm hoping that it's just like a one and done it's like a little mini crossover, and then the rest of the books just get back to business, and we can all just skip this. Like if the next issue of Superman just picks up and makes no mention of this, I will be fine.
You're totally happy with it.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else we got here?
So this is a book coming up next, Clobberin' Time.
Clobberin' Time.
You've heard me talk about this book a lot.
We've been clobbering a lot. Yeah.
This is issue 5, final issue. It's only five issue series. It's got the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing as the main character. Now you want to talk about just like getting back to fun comics. This is a fun comic. We got Galactus in it.
Oh, shoot.
Spoiler alert.
Galactus.
This is the conclusion to the story, so I don't want to show too much from this issue, just in case anybody.
You don't want to ruin it. No spoilers.
But it's written and drawn by Steve Scroce, who's possibly one of my favorite artists working for Marvel or DC right now. Oh. It's just action-packed, highly detailed art, but still, I don't know, like embraces kind of some of the comic book genre, like the nature of the work. It's really excellent stuff. It's fun. It's kind of violent. So one thing that's kind of been present through Steve Scroce's art through this series is like Thing is getting like beat up like crazy. And you can kind of see it on the cover here, like he's getting zapped. There's some panels later on when he gets into like a knockdown, drag out fight, and he's just like cut up. Like, look at that. And it's like you never see that with the Thing because he's just made of rocks, but like there's a mutated person under there, and so you're actually seeing him kind of. It's a little gross, like for me anyway. Yeah, but yeah,
I'm excited that he's getting injured.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't get to see that all.
You don't get
often.
to see that. That's
interesting. But yeah, excellent book. Highly recommend it. Not your normal run-of-the-mill monthly book. This is a very special comic. I think it's something that deserves to exist.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Get some clobbering time.
Another book.
Nice, yeah.
I don't remember if I talked about this one on the stream.
We didn't talk about that. We haven't talked about this one on stream yet.
Yeah, okay. So this is also the final issue of this 4-issue series called Hairball. And this is like a horror comic. like a creepy little horror comic about a creepy little cat. And if anybody has cats, or if you've lived with cats, you know that they are in fact pure evil.
It's not much of a stretch, no. Yeah.
And so this is again, I don't want to show too much of it. There's like a flashback here to ancient Egypt, nice. And how this evil cat basically instigates a war between Egyptians and Persians. And cats love misery and murder and torture. And so this is the conclusion to the story of the main character and her pet cat, which is named Bestie, that we see on the cover. And basically, Bestie is causing a bunch of terrible havoc in her life, like. And it's like done in perfect horror movie style, where you can't tell, like, her parents are always fighting, and then like the house burns down, and they're like, oh, was it an accident, or did the cat do it? Was it the cat? And it's like, how are you going to prove that the cat burned the house down? So there's a lot of that element. It's really not suspenseful, but just kind of like creepy and psychological.
Yeah.
Really, really good book. It's written by Matt Kindt, who is from St. Louis. St. Louis is on Matt Kindt. I love Matt Kindt's work. It's not drawn by him. The art is by Tyler and Hillary Jenkins. But it's a really good-looking book, really appropriately creepy. And if you like cats, I think you'll like it, because everybody who likes cats just reads anything with cats in it.
You know that they're evil.
And if you don't like cats, you will like it, because there is some seriously horrific stuff happening to cats in this comic.
Oh my gosh. Those poor cats.
Yes. So, following the cat theme.
Cats galore.
I got another cat book here. Now we're going in an opposite direction. The Hairball is a horror comic, and it's about how cats are evil and creepy and murderous. This is a manga called A Man and His Cat. This is volume 8. And this is possibly the most emotionally manipulative comic book I've ever read.
Wow.
Because it's just like, it's extra cute, it's extra sweet, and it's basically, it's about, the main character is Fuyuki Kanata. He's a widower. He's an old man who lives by himself, and he's kind of become a shut-in, and everybody's concerned about him. And then he gets a pet cat named Fukumaru. And Fukumaru is an ugly cat. I want to see if I can get a good shot of it here.
Look at that guy.
So, in the context of the story, Fukumaru is supposed to be, I think, like a Persian cat.
Okay.
Like one of those squish-faced
cats. Yeah.
And Fukumaru is at the shelter, and nobody wants Fukumaru because he's like an ugly, stupid cat.
Poor Fukumaru.
And so Mr. Kanata adopts him, and they both become best friends, and it's just the most, like, it's so sentimental, and it'll just, like, if you have any emotions in you, you will cry when you read this. So you should be safe, Dan.
Yeah, I'm heartless.
But there's also, it starts off, I will say, like in the first volume, it starts off as just like simple short stories from Fukumaru's perspective. And as the book progresses, it gains a huge cast of characters. And it's kind of like about human relationships and how we form bonds with other people. And that's mirrored through relationships with pets. And I think you can understand.
Yeah, I know. I feel that.
Yeah, we all love pets.
It's pretty deep, though. Actually,
it is. It's really good, and because, like I said, the main character, he's a widower, so he lives by himself, and he kind of starts to make. By getting the cat, it gives him something to do, and it kind of makes him open up, and then he starts opening up to other people, and then there's some specific story stuff where you find out more about who he is, and he's actually kind of a famous person. He's a famous pianist, but he's not played since however long. So now people are trying to get him to get back into music, and it's really good. But like I said, a lot of it is told from you can kind of see
the cat's perspective.
It's told from the cat's perspective. So there's a lot of puns in it, and it's sort of, it has like a cutesy silliness of, like, a cat doesn't necessarily understand what's going on. So it'll describe what's happening, and you as the adult human reader, you know what's happening, but the narrative, the cat is confused, and that it's charming. It's just, it is, I think, as my my Zoomer sister would say, it's totes adorbs.
Totes.
I'm using hip lingo of the kids because I'm tired of being the grouchy old man.
Right.
So
okay, let's go with
that. But yeah, it's a good book. I highly recommend it. This one, actually, I would recommend if you like reading cat stories and you like reading old sentimental softy stories. This is, as I said, it's like so emotionally manipulative. Just when you thought you couldn't feel, it'll make you feel.
I hate having feelings.
I know, they're dumb and stupid. So yes, now we're moving on to something that I have no feelings for.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. It's actually one of my favorite books, Weird Work. This is written by a fella named Jordan Thomas, who I don't know anything about, but he seems like a cool guy. But it is drawn by Shaky Kane, one of my favorite indie artists. This guy is, if you're familiar with classic comic book art, I think you'll immediately recognize that he's got kind of a Jack Kirby feel.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it looks very retro for one.
I was going to say, it looks like an homage to Kirby.
I do have it. You know what? I know you say that a lot, but that's just because there are that many homages to Kirby out there. And this is one of them. And I know I like my homages to Kirby. I do have to be careful about which pages I show here. This is an adult comic for sure. It's bizarre and weird. It's a detective story. But what I love about Shaky Kane's comics, and comics kind of in general, is that they can just get weird and surreal, and you can just draw whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's a detective comic, but all the characters are just bizarre and strange. It's called Weird Work. That's the name of it.
Weird.
It's weird right in the title, so you can expect it. It's violent, it's strange, it's trippy, it's very surreal. It's kind of like it's like a Blade Runner if it was directed by Terry Gilliam from Monty Python.
Okay.
But with Jack Kirby art.
A little 12 Monkey action.
Yes, yeah. So I actually backed this book. It was crowdfunded on Kickstarter last year. And so this one, I have read the whole series, and I really enjoy it.
It's cool.
It's really good. Highly recommend it. Possibly going to have to pick this as my favorite book of the week. I don't know if I can say best because I'm a little too biased towards Shaky Kane's art. I have some original art by Shaky Kane. I'm a huge fan. So this is, if you like something weird and if you want something different, definitely check this book out. Weird Work.
And again, that's what I like about comic books. There's not just superhero stuff.
That's right.
There's so many genres that are covered in comic books, and you could get into anything.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Ooh, that one looks
So
cool.
This one, final book we're going to talk about. This is...
Hello, lady.
I always ask one of our coworkers to pick a book out for me.
Yeah.
And our friend Kia picked this one out. Kind of on a lark. But this is...
What, to like mess with you?
Yeah. So he's vaguely familiar with Tula Lotay, her art. That is a pen name. I think her name is Lisa something. She's British. She's a nice lady. And she's actually really well known in the comics.
She's a nice British lady.
She's really well known in the industry. I just can't think of her name right now. But it's also written by Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
And he's famous for writing Batman, and he's written a ton of stuff. He's a huge name in the comic book industry. So this one kind of caught my attention because it's a number one. That's why we
like a number one.
We like a number one.
Yeah.
It's called Barnstormers.
Yep.
And you know that I like historical fiction. So this book takes place in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And it's about there's actually a lot going on. It's really difficult to sum it up.
Right.
But it's basically a pilot who's trying to be a barnstormer, which is somebody who flies around and does tricks in his plane. Look
at this art, though.
Yes, so that's...
Oh, man.
She has a really nice, really, what would you call it? Lush. It's a really lush...
Cinematic.
Yes. So I was a little...
That's really nice.
I will be honest, I've seen her work before, and I like her work, but I am always a little concerned when I see somebody who has, what would you call... Like a painterly instincts in their art,
sure,
and somebody who
more realism almost.
Oh, some realism, to it. And when they do a lot of cover work, and you get that really defined character and image, and it looks really nice on a cover.
Yeah.
But then
does it carry over through?
Does
the whole
it carry
story?
over into the storytelling? Because what can happen with a lot of artists, and I'm going to invoke the name of Alex Ross, who's a guy that everybody loves, and I am a fan of Alex Ross, but everybody thinks that him doing interior work like his book, like he did here, Kingdom Come, that's the one that everybody goes to, they reference, and frankly, I don't like it all that much. He's a great artist, and I love his cover work. But when he does the interiors, it starts to look really stiff because it's all heavily photo referenced. So and you can kind of see it, I think, a little bit in her art here. If you want to show some of these pages, like you can see these figures. They just look heavily referenced, like on model. Like you can see, very likely she had people modeling for these, to get their like facial expressions just exactly right. And so I was a little concerned. Just sometimes that doesn't always look good, I think, in comic book art. But it works really well for her because there's some contrast between when she gets kind of...
Dude, what the hell's this?
So...
That's awesome.
That's where I was saying...
That's cool. What is that?
It starts off really simple, like it's this simple pilot in 1920. But then there's a lot more going on.
Sold.
He is on the run from people that are chasing him. He's seeing visions of these robots that are chasing him. This is actually not one of the main characters, but you can see him flying, crashing his plane. He meets up with this other character who basically kind of hijacks his plane and kidnaps him and blackmails him into joining up with her. And everything is not what it seems. There is a detective who... I like a detective. I like a good detective. Yeah. He's I don't know if you're familiar with this term. He's a Pinkerton.
Oh yeah. No, I mean
here we are in 2023, and the term is still relevant.
I didn't know they still existed until they went and got those guys for the magic cards or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yep. So it's funny because in this story that takes place in 1920, he's complaining about how like the Pinkertons are not like they were in the old days back then. That's how
funny.
Old the Pinkertons are. So he's on the case trying to hunt them down. This is actually, I was actually surprised at how much I liked this book, knowing absolutely nothing about it.
It looks really cool. I'm probably going to get it.
It looks great. We talked about The Rocketeer a few months ago. I really like The Rocketeer.
Rocketeer vibes.
Yeah, and so you get a little bit of that. And I mean, classic, that vintage early age of aviation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bit of The Rocketeer mixed with Iron Giant. I don't want to like spill too much, and I don't want to imply too much, but there's definitely like with the setting, the art style, it's really good. I that's the only reason I can't say Weird Work is the best book of the week
because it's actually surprisingly good.
Because this one might actually be better.
Wow.
And I say that as a might because I still personally probably prefer Weird Work, but
because of the artist.
But this one is. I think this one would appeal to more people for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also really, really good. Like I'm not saying it's like just like a generic lowest common denominator thing. Like it's pretty niche itself, being something that's like a period piece in 1920, right? But no, it's a really, really fantastic book. And the other thing that's really nice about it, I don't know if it says it right there. This is a $5 book, which is $1 more than the average comic book, but it is like twice the size. This is a thick comic book. Like I was showing you pages, and I only showed you like half.
That's a thick boy.
Yeah, it's a thick boy. It's a thick boy. So yeah, excellent.
There you
excellent
go.
Value for your $1. $5, and you get. I didn't count the pages, but it's like twice.
You get a lot of story.
You get a lot of story. It's
some great artwork.
And I think that was the thing that drew me into it most was I was reading it, and the story moves pretty good. Like Scott Snyder. He's a really good artist, although I will say I'm not like personally a big fan of his just because like the stuff he writes has never really interested in me. Like I don't read a lot of Batman comics. I'm sorry to all the Batman fans out there, and but he's I know you love Batman. But this Scott Snyder is really good at what he does, and there's some nice narrative twists, like because there is a narration. And, and there's just like some good, like he hits all the right beats. Like just when you think where this story is going, like it takes a little turn, and it feels kind of like it's setting up like a generic movie, and then other stuff happens, and it kind of like throws you.
That's awesome.
It's really, really good.
What a twist!
Yeah, what a twist!
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's some great comic books. I really want to get this one.
I recommend it. I think you'll like it.
It's got a nice lady on the cover, and I like that. But also, it just looks great. Like I really enjoy the artwork in there. Awesome. we got some good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
That's all I got today.
We did it.
Yeah.
It's happy 4th of July for those of you who partake, and hope you go buy some comic books.
Yeah.
Buy them here, or if you can't come around, find somewhere else and get into them. There's an amazing world of books out there, and you'll be very surprised at what you find. And if you're watching this on Facebook,
YouTube.
What's going on here? If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you joined us on the stream live, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.